Hello everybody, Jim Phillips here. Welcome to another edition of Java with Jim. I appreciate you being here today, as you always are, and I appreciate your interest in what it is I have to say and share. I also just want to say, if you have a topic that you would like me to cover in an episode of Java with Jim, please feel free to reach out to me wherever you're watching this video, or you can always send it to my email address, jim@livinginfullexpression.com. So what are we going to talk about today? As I've mentioned, I get questions from a lot of different people over the course of my daily work, my coaching, also what I've been doing in the real estate business, just conversations with people, asking questions about really what's important to them, what is of most interest. And of course, we've got a lot of stuff happening around the world right now that is just heart-wrenching. And it's hard to grasp. It's hard to really, truly understand how and why we as humanity could be doing the things that we're doing to one another across the planet. And of course we can say, well, I'm not the one involved in what's happening around the world. I'm only involved in what is happening in my own life. And while that's an important distinction to make, whatever happens around the world does impact us, and whatever we do within our corner of the world impacts what happens out in the world. And it's through the energy that we have, the energy we put out into the world, the thoughts and beliefs we hold about what it is we want to see in and out of life. And I think most of us truly, truly desire to have peace, and yet we don't do things that would necessarily generate peace. And it's not just about world peace, it's about inner peace. It's about how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about the way that we're living our lives, the way that we're interacting with other people. All of that is about creating peace. And of course, what we experience internally is what we're invariably putting out into the world. And the more of us that can find that inner peace, the more of us that can find that sense of calm, the more of us that will be able to change what's happening on the exterior, on the outside world. Now, to that point, I want to just bring up something that came to me actually 4 or 5 years ago, and I've since worked it into a different perspective, maybe not a different perspective, but a different way of applying it. And it was around, as I said, 5 years ago when this thought came to me, and I have since spoken about it and posted it many, many times. But it's a quote that is now being considered a quote, and it's that we would be wise to take care of Mother Earth, for what we leave behind we inherit upon our return. Now, of course, that presupposes the fact that we will be coming back. And I do believe that we do. I believe that we have multiple lives, but that's another conversation altogether. But even if you don't believe we come back, by taking care of those things that are important to us right now, it will make for a better world. It will make for a better life. And of course, we hear politicians and we hear people all the time saying we have to do things that are going to protect certain rights and ways of life and peace and joy and happiness for future generations, for our grandchildren. And yet, what are we actually doing to make that happen? So if we apply this idea of we would be wise to take care of Mother Earth, for what we leave behind we inherit upon a return, the same thing holds for how we're engaging with one another, the peace that we would create in the world, the lives that we would lead, the way that we would connect and interact with one another, the way that we would live together in joy and peace, the way that we would allow each other to live in the way that we want to live, where it doesn't infringe upon other people. So I would just suggest that we would be wise to take care of one another. We would be wise to look at how we are treating one another. We would be wise to see how we're impacting the world, how we're impacting those around us. We would be wise because what we leave behind, we will inherit. And if what we truly desire is peace, world peace, love across all borders, then what can we do right now to make that happen? And whether you believe that you'll be coming back or not, the very fact that you would be working towards that now means that there will be that experience of it now, not just later, not just upon your return. Again, if you believe that you have that return. But what if it is true? What if we do come back? What if we do have multiple lives? Well, what is it you want to come back to? If you truly believe that we have this ability to create the world that we say we have a desire to live, then why not do those things today, in every moment, that are going to bring that about, or that give you the singular experience of it? And of course, if you have the singular experience of it, then you're going to impact all of those around you, who then ideally would participate in the so-called ripple effect, where as they go out into the world, they too will be touching people, connecting with people, helping people see that better way of living, helping people embrace the joy, the love, the peace that all of us say that we want, and they then put it out, and those people who are surrounded by them then put it out. And then all of a sudden we have what we desire, that we truly want. But it does take each one of us. And I think another part of this whole equation is that I think most of us do want to make a difference in the world. In fact, if we were to ask one another, what do you want out of life? I think first and foremost, it's going to be happiness. I want happiness for me. I want happiness for my family members, my children. I want happiness for the world at large. But I think it's also we want to make a difference in the world. And so there's this question as to whether or not we do make a difference. Well, I can assure you we do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. And of course, I've had people tell me, well, that's just a simple answer. That's just my way of being able to cover it all, no matter what. But I do believe that the solutions are the simplest. I don't believe that they have to be challenging. I don't believe they have to be difficult to be important and to be impactful. We're all making a difference because we're here. We might not know the difference that we're making because we don't know the influence we're having on the lives of other people. We don't follow them throughout their whole lives. Now, certainly those within our inner circle, if you will, those within our immediate family, we will see what they become as they continue to evolve in their own lives. And we see perhaps the influence we might have had on them, given who we are and how we've interacted with them. But the world at large, we don't really see how we've impacted people. We've all been asked at some point in time what teacher has had the greatest impact on you. And of course, we pretty much can come up with a name almost immediately. Now, that teacher might not remember who I was, using myself as an example, but I certainly remember who he or she was. And I remember how they influenced me, how they impact me, how they've allowed me to become who I am, and how it is that I interact in the world. So as a result of that one teacher has impacted the world because of how it impacted me, and then how I'm continuing to go out and impact those around me, and so on and so on and so on. So again, I just want to get back to the quote. I want to get back to each one of us can do whatever we can do, whatever we're willing to do on a daily basis, a moment-to-moment basis, to make the world a better place for all of us. No doubt there is destruction going on in the world. No doubt there is terrorism going on in the world and horrendous things being enacted against humanity, and it needs to end. The fact that we keep repeating history, believing that it's going to be the solution, is absolutely ridiculous. We have to come to the realization that we're all in this together, and that we all are one, that we all do truly desire the same thing, but we put the power in the hands of a few who then determine how life is to be for the vast majority of people. Each one of us needs to take responsibility for our individual lives, which then allows us to take responsibility as communities, as groups, eventually as countries. But it's really about all of us acting as one, realizing that we all are one, and that the influence we have on the planet is what will eventually bring about the world we say we desire. So getting back to the quote that originated as, "We would be wise to take care of Mother Nature, for what we leave behind we inherit upon a return." I would just say that we would be wise to take care of one another. We would be wise to take care of the planet as well. For what we leave behind, we inherit upon our return. I look forward to your comments. I look forward to your suggestions. Again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your interest in what it is I have to say. And it is up to each one of us to take responsibility for our own lives, which will then be reflected in the world at large. Thank you. Until next time, I'm Jim Phillips, and this has been Java with Jim. Bye now.